Hey guys, welcome back to Tracy's Local Learnings and welcome back to the Zen Den. So today I want to talk about mushrooms, wild harvesting mushrooms, and how I got started. So I was intrigued by the turkey tail mushroom because my mom had passed away due to the big C word that I don't use. After that, I learned all about turkey tail. Now, I wish I would have known about turkey tail before she passed, but the knowledge is still going to serve me for the rest of my life, and hopefully help others, right? So when I started learning about turkey tail, I wanted to go out and find it because I knew it's another one of God's creations. I mean, it's out there. It's just growing. You just need to find it and learn about it. So that's what I did. I went on a hike to actually a local park, but I went off the trail. So there's a lot of places that you can go and there's trails. What you really want to do when you're looking for any kind of mushrooms or medicinal weeds or plants is you want to go off the trail into the forest. Be careful. Make sure you have good footwear on. Maybe wear gloves so in case you grab a tree or something, you don't get scraped or scratched. And take a camera. So when I started, that's what I did. I found it and I started taking pictures. And then it's like once your brain starts to look for something new, you start to see it. It's like when you want to buy a car, you have this idea of what you want in your head, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. It's no different with mushrooms and medicinals. But today we're talking about mushrooms. I gotta keep focused. Okay, so I started by taking pictures. I started by sitting down. When I would find the mushrooms, I would sit down in that area and I would look at it and I would take notes about where it was growing, what time of year it was, what type of different climate was it? Was it near water? Was there signs of older ones that have already passed, like different mushrooms? Now, when it comes to mushrooms, there's two key types of mushrooms. There is a polypore mushroom and there's a guild mushroom. So right now I am going to pause the video and I'm going to take you out to look at a polypore mushroom, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to try to find a guild mushroom. Now it's late in the year and it's getting colder, so a lot of the mushrooms that did come up that have gills have usually perished by now, but we're going to see what we can do. So I'll see you guys in a minute. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. So what I'm going to show you is called a red-belted polypore. And it is growing in this stump on my yard. So this is what an old one looks like. I didn't harvest it, but that's what it looks like inside. Now you can see the pores all the way. Am I showing you? You can see the pores as lines inside. Hang on here. Wait, you see that? Because when it was fresh, all those little tiny pores are what help you identify the mushroom. And now it looks like wood, doesn't it? Isn't that crazy? Looks like petrified wood. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the fresh ones. And these ones are all growing out of the bottom, right? There's a little tiny guy, and then there's a nice cluster of them. So, hang on here. I'm going to try to pull this off. Okay. So here's what I want you to see. Do you see the pores? The little teensy-weensy pores all through. This is what's called a polypore mushroom. And it grows as a bracket. Hang on here. As a bracket. And that's what it looks like. So that's a little baby red-belted polypore. And that's what pores on a polypore mushroom look like. Now, okay. Now I'm going to show you another polypore mushroom. You see that white? I hope you guys can see that. See that white right there? That's a birch polypore mushroom. Now, I pulled one off. Now, these are old, like they're rotten, but I wanted you to see it still has those pores, thousands and thousands of little pores, and this is what it looks like when it's rotten. So this one's from last spring. So in the spring, I will get new polypore mushrooms on that tree. And again, they grow like a bracket. So now I'm going to try to find a guild mushroom for you. Okay, I'm back. Now here is a guild mushroom. Do you see the bottom, how it has gills on it? So you also learn a lot about the stipe. This, the stem or the stipe, is another identifying feature of many fungus. You can see how, oh wait, how the mycelium is starting to branch out. See all that little, those are little tiny root type things. And that's the mycelium. And it's growing all through this floor of the ground. See, there's mushrooms quite everywhere. Now it's late in the season, so I'm not going to find a lot of examples of mushrooms right now. But because it's raining, I'm going to head back into the Zen Den and we're going to talk about how to identify wild harvesting mushrooms. Okay. Okay, so I kind of got sidetracked. I found this beautiful mushroom. Now to me it looks like the winter chanterelle, but I'm not sure. However, I am going to take it back with me and do more research. Okay, so I'm back. And I got in just before it really started hammering rain. So I'm pretty happy about that. So on my way back to the Zen Den, of course I found more mushrooms. Because like I said, once your eyes start to see them, you see them everywhere. So it's so fun. Okay, so I'm going to get back to my notes. Where did I put my notes? Oh, this is fun. Aren't I fun? Okay. Oh, here's my book. Okay, so I showed you guys what a polypore fungus looks like. How it has, hang on, I want to see if you guys can actually see this. It has thousands and thousands of little holes. See that? That's why it's called a polypore fungus. Again, this one is a bracket, just like a turkey tail. It'll grow off the side of trees, stumps, etc. And this one, oops, has gills, right? It clearly has gills on the bottom. So when you're identifying features or identifying fungus, you want to make sure that you're taking notes of those distinguishing features. Okay, so pictures. Take pictures. Like I said, really get down there and get to know the mushroom. Now, things that you're going to need. Or things that you can use, actually. Other than doing research on social media, you can also buy field guides off Amazon. Now, my personal perspective could be different than yours, but I feel that the older the book you find, the better the information is going to be. A lot of the historical features and magic of these, not magic mushrooms, but properties of these mushrooms are kind of getting downplayed and kind of erased. So again, do your own research, and if you can find the oldest books that possible, you're going to get the best research possible. Okay, so there's also communities. There's like fungus communities. You know how you go on your thing, say if you drive a Toyota and you want to find Toyota forums where everybody drives Toyotas, so they're all like, yay, Toyota. Well, they exist for mushrooms and fungus as well. There's a lot of really, really good research and people that go out and show you what they're finding all the time. My favorite one on YouTube is Mushroom Wonderland. I really enjoy the guy's content. He's out there with his dog Gunner. I can't remember his name, but his dog's name is Gunner. And he brings some wonderful content. So that's another way. You can also go to places that sell mushrooms. Now, when I say mushrooms, I mean like they sell oyster mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms and chanterelles and oyster mushrooms and lion's mane mushroom, gourmet mushrooms. Those mushrooms are all hugely medicinal and have many, many properties. So if you want to just see what they look like, you can go to those places and, you know, just look at them. Look at them in a store. You don't have to buy them. but you can look at them and figure out their identifying features, smell them, get to know them, and then when you go out into the wild, you're gonna pick those ones up right away because you already have it in your brain of what they look like. Okay, so I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. So again, when it comes to researching, be careful what you believe. There's a lot of people that believe that if you touch a poisonous mushroom, you're going to get poisoned. That's not true. There is a lot of research that goes into my confidence on that. Now, like everything, there's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 mushrooms that if you touch them, you could get poisoned from them. They're not over here in North America. They're not in Canada. They're not in the United States. They're in like China, Asia, different areas like that. So if you're in those areas, do your own research, you know. And when harvesting mushrooms, use common sense. I mean, there's some mushrooms that just look like you wouldn't want to touch them. There's some mushrooms that are really, really stinky. So when you get out there and you start looking for mushrooms, there's a couple things you're going to want to take with you. You're going to want to take a basket. Now, I'm not saying take the basket to fill it up to go home and eat them, okay? I'm saying take your basket. So if you find a cluster, like a large amount of one type of mushroom, where it's not going to hurt it if you take it home, you know, harvest it. Take all your pictures and everything of it together so you know what the how it grows, and then harvest one mushroom to take home with you. Now, when you're harvesting it, you want to take notes. Did it snap easily? Was it bendy? Does it have a thin stipe or a thick stipe? You know, is there a veil on it? Now, I didn't find any mushrooms out today that had a veil because I wanted to kind of show you guys. But it's like when you go to the grocery store and you buy your white button mushrooms. You know how when they're closed, they have that skin on the bottom of the mushroom, so it starts as a ball and it opens and it has that skin on the bottom. That veil it's called a veil, and on some mushrooms it will stay as a veil and just slide down partially down the stipe, and it's another identifying feature. So all of these things are identifying feature. Another thing that you can do when you break the stipe is see, does it have any discoloration? That's another way to identify mushrooms and what their properties are. So all of these different things you want to write down in your book. So you need your basket, and you need a book and a pen. Now, some mushrooms, even though you're going to take pictures of them, some of them you might want to draw, because when we put a pen to paper, we're creating what goes into our brain. We're giving it more substance, right, of this thing. We're bringing, like I said, bringing it to life. So it's really important that these notes get taken. Now, I want to talk about a few other things. So again, when it comes to looking for wild harvesting mushrooms, like I said, you can do your research. So start off with pictures, take that information home, do research. I personally, I don't use the regular search engine. I use a Brave search engine because I get better results. I get more results. I get a wider spectrum of results than using, you know, the other one. So you can always do that. And then when you're, you know, researching it and you have things come up, I think you're going to find at the top, it's Wikipedia. I don't even read it. I just don't value that. I go down. I don't always just click on the first one. A lot of times when there's one subject, one item you're looking for, there's going to be a good side and there's going to be a bad side. Or there's going to be people that appreciate it and acknowledge it as being a benefit. And there's going to be people that are like, don't touch it. So I find on most search engines that the stuff at the top is, don't touch it. So keep scrolling. Don't be afraid to go down, you know what I mean? And look for some of the older information and not necessarily what they want you to be believing now. Okay, so the other thing is you want to write down the season. You know, like I'm starting this learning how to forage your own mushrooms now because in the spring is when it gets really fun. There's not a lot of mushrooms that grow in the winter months. There are some, but there's not a lot of them. So I'm kind of just going with what I can work with right now. However, in the spring, I want to get into a lot more mushroom harvesting. It's something that I'm very, very excited about. Now, on my property in the spring, I have shaggy mane parasol mushrooms that grow, and they're like the size of a dinner plate, and they're edible. So when I went down my research journey, once I identified that mushroom, now there's different ways I'm going to get into on the next video of how to identify mushrooms. But when I identified it to my liking, I actually cleaned one off and cooked it up with some butter and garlic, and it was so good. It was a delicious, delicious mushroom, and I'm so grateful that I have it growing all over my property. But again, that's something that grows in the spring. So I kind of want to get you guys into the idea of looking for mushrooms now so you can learn how to do research. Now, the more you use those search engines, the more it's going to bring up better information for you. It's like if you search something once, you're going to get that. But if you search that same thing 3 or 4 times, you're going to get a lot, like your library is going to get way bigger. Also, when I'm doing my research, say if I find a mushroom and I go in and I go into my search engine, I put in what I believe the mushroom is, and I look at the photos. So it'll bring up pictures. So the best way to start with identifying mushrooms is with the photos. Now you're also going to have your own photos and you're going to have your notes. So once you find a mushroom that looks like what you have, then you can go in and you can click the picture, get that name of the mushroom, and then go in, back in, and look for that name of the mushroom and put identifying features. So you want to start, again, you don't want to jump into it looking at it as its benefits yet. You want to make sure you identify it first. So I want to see down in the comments below what you guys have harvested. There is a ton of mushrooms out there. A lot of them are edible. A lot of them are medicinal. And they grow in different parts, right? Depending on where you live. So I want to see down in the comments what you guys have harvested, what you know about, or what you're curious about. And I'm going to keep bringing some information on harvesting mushrooms so that you guys can get more comfortable with it and we can all learn and grow together when it comes to fungus and medicinals. So if you've enjoyed the content, hit that thumbs up button, consider subscribing, leave a comment, and if you watch the content this far, leave me a little mushroom emoji in the comments. It would warm my heart. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.